You are listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with the real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, stories, help you win in your local market. Today, my name is Cody from Sheridan Street. This is a single episode. And today what I want to do is I want to unpack something that Brendon Burchard calls the persuasion formula. I spent a couple of years doing some private coaching with Brendon Burchard, and this formula has absolutely made a massive difference in how I deal with employees, how I speak with clients. And it's been a really massive impact on my life, and something that I want to share with you, because you can take this into any circumstance, whether you're doing a buyer consult, whether you're doing a listing presentation, whether you're dealing with a client that might be unhappy, whether you're dealing with a partner, a spouse. This formula is one of the things that something even I teach to my business development team and my client success team, so that they can have better and more productive conversations. And we'll start with the actual formula. The first element to the formula is acknowledgement. In order to actually have a productive conversation, in order to have a productive persuasion, you need to acknowledge where the person actually is. In order to come up with a mutual agreement, which I'll get to a little bit later, in order to come up to a solution, in order to persuade somebody to actually get them to do what you want them to do, or persuade them in a way that is best suited for the actual conversation, you need to acknowledge where the person currently is. What does this mean? To acknowledge what somebody is actually looking at is sometimes like recognizing that you might have actually messed up. It's recognizing that you did something, or recognizing how they're feeling. Like, if you can articulate in a great way how they are actually feeling, they're more likely to listen to you, because you've acknowledged specifically where they are coming from, that you understand what they are saying. And if you can articulate how they're feeling, they're going to feel more comfortable in the conversation that they're having with you. The next element towards effective persuasion is mapping their ambition. One of the reasons why it's so important for us when we sit down with our clients to understand where they want to go is because it's so easy to get caught off path. But when you can map their ambition, when you're speaking to a client that is like, they might be really mad. Like, maybe, for example, they haven't gotten the home that they're looking for. If you can map their ambition at such a deep level that it's like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, when you came to me, you wanted X, Y, and Z, and my goal is to help you find that dream home. My goal is to help you find these non-negotiables. If you can map their ambition and come back to the point, one of the lines that I often use whenever I'm speaking with clients is like, it's important in times where we feel like we are off path, that you run to us and not from us, because ultimately we want the same thing that you want. Because if you don't win, we don't win. And what that does is it releases tension in the sales process, or even releases sales resistance, or even client resistance. Because if you tell them like, hey, if we don't win, you don't win, and they really deeply understand that, they're more likely, and you map that towards their ambition for what they're looking for, what the ideal outcome is for them, you're more likely to persuade them towards the direction that they need to go. The third element towards effective persuasion is something we call effect. What effect is using the proper tone, whether knowing, like, am I supposed to be excited in the moment, knowing whether you need to reduce your tone in order to effectively communicate with the spouse, with the partner, with the client, with the prospect, whatever it is. If you can really master tone, you can have really great results in persuasion. So I hope that next time you go to have a really difficult conversation with a client, a spouse, a partner, you're able to use this specific formula in order to create what we call a mutual agreement. And a mutual agreement is like, in order to get to an agreement at the end, in order to come to a point where you can leave the conversation feeling that it was mutually beneficial, and that you can come to an agreement that, like, if you can come to an agreement at the end of the conversation where you feel heard and they feel heard, you're more likely to actually persuade the person to go in the direction that you're looking for them to go in. So I'm going to recap. How do you persuade people? You persuade them first by acknowledging where they're currently at. The second thing that you do is you map their ambition. And the third thing that you do is you make sure that you have effect, make sure that you have emotion in your tone, that you understand on a deep level where they're coming from, so that you can present a hypothetical outcome and create a mutual agreement around that outcome. I hope you get a ton of value today. I hope you're able to take this in your sales conversations. Hope you're able to take this with your client conversations and make this the best year yet. Thanks for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.